All right, well, here we go. Finally. So, hey, for those that are just kind of piling in here, did you guys get the? I sound hydrated. That's good. Thank you. I am hydrated. I just downed a glass of apple cider. A little getting into the season here. Um, so I pinged the Twitch ping roll in our Discord, and nobody was here. And then I pinged everybody, and now people are coming in. Um, did for those that are here, did the Twitch ping like not really do much to like get your attention? I would ask that question, and then I would also ask, does it bother you that I just ping everybody? I mean, you're here, so it probably doesn't bother you. But um, Methos 888 first time chat. Um, Hello, it's working properly. Thank you. The Twitch ping is a Discord role, and I did a you can assign it to yourself. It's a React role, and I'll go ahead and put it in the chat here. Copy message link. You can just click on Barnabas, and it'll give you the Twitch ping role. I'm just curious if like it didn't like really ping you. Like why was it so ineffective? But maybe I just need to get more people on there. Okay. Doom Cook 1E. Uh that's a familiar name. Do I know you? Hi, this is the first time I watched this stream. First time chat. Well, give us a follow. Glad you made it. Anthony Sausages, let's go. First time chat. Shidori Trails. You sound hydrated, so it's good. Glad I sound hydrated. Give us a follow. Quelm Nosfi. Hello. That's a familiar name for sure. Carl Max again. Hello. Okay. I got notifications, but I'm set to invis, so it's probably what I pay a lot of attention to. Okay. Discord ping. Well, they're both Discord. It's just one of them is like everybody, and the other is just the people who have self-selected for the Twitch ping role. So, first time chat from Hikaru Online. Hello there, good sir. It's my first time here. I have not opted into the Twitch ping role yet. Just I linked it in there. Just it's a self React role. Go ahead and just assign that to yourself. Click on Barnabas's face, and then you'll get the role. Alternate facts. Nice to see these happening a bit more frequently. Yeah. We just missed last week. I think I was a little under the weather or something. And then actual weather happened, and we had power outage for like 3 or 4 days straight. But now we're back up and running. First time chat from Grim Leforby. I don't have the Twitch role because I don't want to be pinged every time, but it ended up working this time because I was in between things. Okay. So it didn't ping me before, and that's intentional, but I'm here anyway. Okay, gotcha. Doom Cookie says, I bought your game, so we know from there. It's an opt-in for Twitch alerts on Discord. I don't have the Twitch ping role. Okay, so I guess because Twitch sends emails, right? If you're following a channel, and then, of course, Discord ping. My Twitter is so tiny. I don't know why even bother. It's like 1,300 followers or something. Doom Cookie. Oh yeah, so I worked with a narrative designer in the past whose X handle is Doom Cookie. So I guess that's not you. There's a lot of Beatrix. Yes, Beatrix is the second most popular waifu role, and of course, Diana is the first most popular, and nobody else comes close. Let's see, Narima's in third, a very distant third, and then it's Abigail in fourth, and then Lindley in fifth, and finally Silly for Sybil in sixth, and who do we have next? Lysander, our top-rated husbando, almost tied with Zelos. And then poor Jules is way in last. Oh, no. Yeah, my roles are Lindley's lackeys, Diana's devotees, and Nutty for Narima. I actually don't have Beatrix picked, but let's see. Just joining in to support. I have apologized, though. I am all PoE2 brain now. Yeah, I mean, aren't we all? That's the big thing right now. I am super PoE2 brained right now. That's totally fine. I'm looking forward to what design innovations come about in this next iteration of Path of Exile. I think that they probably swung a little bit harder at the hardcore, played Diablo for thousands of hours crowd. And what I think they've stated is that they are deliberately pulling it more to the moderation of that, and trying to get not casuals like a casual game, but like, acknowledging that perhaps people want to play Path of Exile 2 that either felt overwhelmed by Path of Exile 1 or don't have time to, like a lot of people, including myself for sure, like as far as gamers, like just as a player, like if I can't really learn it really well and do it properly, like I just don't want to do it at all, that kind of thing. So I think that's a really good move on their part, and it kind of actually is a lot closer to what we do in Symphony of War. Like we're definitely are not going for the like absolutely like I want to grind myself to dust with difficulty. No, I think what we want is just like pure fun and just experimenting and the narrative experience. We don't want it to be just like this torturous thing. Acknowledging a lot of gamers are like me. They're approaching middle age. They're busy parents. They're, tired and they want their gaming experience to be, a fun diversion, a relaxing experience rather than a intense, torturous experience, right? So that kind of adrenaline that you crave when you're a little younger, right? So first time chat from Start Game Social. I am excited for you too, but more excited about this. Let's go. Yeah. Give us a follow, please. In these, so folks that are here, we're kind of a ways off from a lot more material things like, class reveals, character reveals. I think what we're going to be doing, maybe I'll keep these bi-weekly just for this reason, is kind of keeping it pretty high altitude and pretty conceptual game design based discussions, talking about things, maybe other stuff that's happening in RPGs and strategy games and just gaming in general that we can kind of keep in tabs on, because we're probably no earlier than 2026 for any kind of like beta, like public build or anything like that. So we're kind of going conceptual here, and it's a little bit of just a hangout, right? If folks want to treat it that way, I enjoy y'all's company as well, and hopefully you enjoy mine as well. Let's where were we? I like a challenge as long as it feels fair. Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, we can talk about that. There's this big controversy happening, I guess, between Osmongold and John Strife Hayes about game difficulty and how Osmongold tends to just like swing for, he just shoots from the hip and he swings for the fences when the stuff he says sometimes. A lot of the times he's like ends up being correct at the end, but like he usually has to like moderate his initial swing for the fence. And I think this might be one of those times where it's like he says like there should just not be difficulty selections in any game ever. I think he said something like, and I think I kind of try and when I hear him, I try and like, okay, maybe let's take the middle road on this one. Maybe he's like, okay, if there are difficulty selections, the default one should be like not insultingly easy, which I kind of agree. I completely agree with that, right? But that's the hardest one to nail down, because that should be the one for the average gamer like me that's not super hardcore, that, you know, you're approaching middle age, parent, tired. Like, I have like a little bit of energy and patience to read tutorials, but not that much. I'd rather just like play a fun little video game. So, you know, in that sense, I feel kind of blessed that I'm the gamer that I think we're trying to serve. Is that you know, of course, I think a lot of a big spectrum of gamers have crossed our path, and that's been quite an honor to have everybody hang out with us who, you know, are a lot younger, a lot more hardcore, or, you know, even more casual, right? So, yeah. Anyway, honestly, no pressure, but Sim 2 is the only thing I'm looking for in the past 2 years. Yeah, we're very excited about it. We strongly believe that with our strong guardrails that we've put on ourselves in terms of, you know, game design, we have a very keen mind for things like scope creep and second system, you know, where you make second system is basically if you make a sequel and you make it too big, too different, too complex, and then you lose the secret sauce. We're very mindful of these things, and scope creep and secret sauce, and what we want to do is strike that delicate balance of like, okay, we just want more Symphony War, but then we want it to be like cooler, right? So that's kind of what it's going to be, right? So just using the same gameplay loop basically, so that you don't really have to like, oh no, it's a new game, I have to learn a bunch of stuff. You will have to learn new stuff. Like, we're doing ships and we're doing castle sieges and a bunch of new classes and all that stuff. But mostly you're getting new content and cooler and more of the same stuff, like more classes. Like, who doesn't want more classes? We love more classes, right? And then, you know, the new stuff, I would say the biggest things are the castle sieges and the ships. That would be something that is slowly but surely taught to you through game challenges. I don't like tutorials where it's like the narrator says, you know, fucking, you know, press this, you know, and it shows the controller button. I like actually like taking examples from old school games where they would have one thing that you do, and then you do it like maybe a few times, and then there's no words ever. You just do the thing, and then you do the next thing, and it's, sooner or later you've already learned the new system. You don't need to be told anything. I just play gameplay, right? So thinking of like old Mega Man games, they do that really well, right? So accessible, definitely. I like challenge as long as it feels fair. Yeah, honestly, no pressure. I'm with Dune Cookie. Y'all are parents. I'm a parent, yeah. And well, I guess not. I guess what I'm speaking to is just like the average age of gamers, which is kind of why Symphony of War is the way it is. The autoplay, the auto battling, because it's so much less work than like a JRPG, but it's just as fun, if not more fun, right? To just see it all play out. That I think the average, you know, PC gamer, RPG gamer is just getting older, and we're gonna keep getting older, right? Of course, our individuals' time marches on. Obviously, we can't just stop aging, but like the average, I think, does slowly but surely get older, right? I think I would probably say the average audience of our game is like 30 to 35, and it'll be probably 35 to 40 by the time the second game comes out, right? So, you know, which is my age group, and, you know, that range-ish. And, yeah, I'm going back and I'm playing, like, Dragon Quest Remake, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a really, really simple JRPG. Really simple. And there's not, you know, like, I look at PoE 1, for example, and, God, it just gives me a headache. You know, if anyone here watched the Tyson Jake Paul fight, age sucks, man. It's just everything It's just time always wins. Time always wins. Father Time is undefeated. So your energy just inevitably goes down. It's just the way it is. Energy, patience, that sort of thing. I recently emulated Tactics Ogre. Let us clink together. One piece plays interestingly. Chaos Route. Right on. I had to play that. I didn't play that one. I only played March of the Black Queen and a little bit of the remake so far. Just a little bit of it. Theoretically, if you were to release a Sim 4 2 right now, how playable would it be? Carl Max says. That's a great question, actually. Most of the campaign is, in terms of like the story, donezo. And a lot, and basically because of the way that I design campaigns, like the history, geography, geopolitics, and all that stuff, even though people say that I just completely can't write dialogue, I feel like I'm pretty good at writing the quest line and the campaign flow. And I'm saying this tongue in cheek because it's been a long time. I feel like I've gotten a lot better at dialogue, but the quest line is basically there. And because of the way that I designed the campaign, the level design is pretty much already there too. It's either in my mind's eye because of the world building is already in there, or it's actually in. I would say like 1/3 of the maps are in a very rough draft state of like how they're going to look in game release. So other than that, there's quite a bit of foundational work that's right now. I mean, we're in the drudgery. I'm going through just data entry right now that is just mind-numbing, and but it has to be done, So, I think the default difficulty should be the intended difficulty the devs want for someone. Yeah, I agree. That's a good way of putting it. I like to think of it like that's the video game difficulty, and then maybe you have like the realism difficulty. Rather than just easy, medium, hard, stuff like that. And then you can have like, literally you can't die. Like your hit point stops at 1. It doesn't go to 0. It's like story mode. Like I don't care about the challenge. I just want story mode. Totally fine, right? So, for single player games, difficulty sliders make sense. They're only playing for their own enjoyment. Yeah, I agree with that. The main thing that bothers these, Devon says, the main thing that bothers me is when a game has no difficulty option until you beat it, then it gives you hard mode, but you don't have much desire to play again because you already saw the story. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that there is merit as a game designer of putting guardrails on difficulty, because like if somebody just goes like hard mode right away, it's very easy to not take responsibility for the fact that you picked hard mode, right? So I think for you, Devon, like you're one of our players that just completely figured out, sorry, I'm reading an important message here. I'll look at that later. You just figured out every single bit of the guts of the game, but I think most people aren't quite at that level. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm way too competitive. This is why I kind of stay from competing as I can help it, because otherwise I become really toxic. Yeah. Yeah. Me too 20 years ago, for sure. Yeah, very toxic gamer. I do enjoy difficulty settings that enable more customization. Oh yeah. Games that have their players self-direct guilty in more ways. Yeah. Yeah, definitely giving the player agency is very important in that regard. Like me, I play a storyteller. VK says, like me, I play a weapon, and if it sucks, but minimize because I like to have fun. That is how to play video games. Just boy, as an aging gamer, meta slaving is just a dead end. Play for fun, and that's from years of experience of online gaming. Meta slaving is just miserable. There's just having to keep up is exhausting, and it removes the original reason that you played the game. Like if I was to just go hardcore in a mobile gaming again, it would just be waifu collecting and fun and no meta. I don't want to read guides. I don't care about the meta slaving, right? So, I do have pretty low pistol sliders up front. You with on context. Sliders, yeah, sliders can be kind of like like when you're dealing with options in a GUI, and I think Mithra and I completely agree on this one. It's you want to be able to like feel what the difference would be theoretically by even just looking at the options menu, and sliders can be kind of not very helpful, but difficulty options, yeah, I think so. I mean, with the rare exception of like give enemies 125% HP or something like that, something really just kind of simple. Start game social. Honestly, the game has so much class customization, it blew my mind. I had an absolute blast playing through this. I beat it in 2 very long sessions. I also love that you could also run your favorite style characters and didn't have the minimum you needed to fill around space. Games like these, my characters, so I still have for games. Wow, okay, that's very kind of you. Yeah, that's been a driving force for sure. Is finding the silver lining in the the way that AAA has kind of gone completely corporate and microtransaction-y and scummy and not selling you the complete game, or every game that's worth playing is a live service game and then it'll go offline and you'll never be able to play it again, and just it's a bit of a wasteland, but that's where indies are stepping up. So I'm glad to hear that you feel that we're part of that solution. Doom Cookie says Mega Man X first level is so perfect in design to teach you how to play the game. Yeah, I think that specific entry is one of my favorite entries of the Mega Man. I guess I like X and X3 and NES. Everyone loves 2, right? Some of my favorites. People don't like X3. I really like X3. It's a good one. I think the level design of X3 is not as good as in X1 and 2, but the progression of upgrades that you get and the boss fights I think are better. I really like X3 for those. Let's see. Well, about 36, I'm out of his range. About to be 21 till 20. John Locke Cole, given how much fans of your games are people who used to play SNES, yeah, we're not getting younger. That's for sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we basically were not shy about saying this is very heavily inspired by Ogre Battle March of the Black Queen. And that game predates the birth date of a lot of people here, probably. So 36 here and 2 kids, right on. LD Diamond, 44 military vet, body of a 60-year-old pretty much, right on. Get after it, Grandpa. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like you. Anthony Sausages. Been craving more sow every month. I love the addition of necromancy skeletons. Yeah, they're really cool, huh? 26 year personally. Oof, thank you for your service. Indeed. Storyteller VK. I find myself being on the younger side yet again. Interesting. Blah, 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 blah. Less Path of Exile, more stuff. I hear you. Difficulty selection of any kind needs context. Yes, agreed. So like 300% EXP, for example, you don't like grinding. Yeah, you guys can read that. That's the other half of our 2-man team here, giving us the goods. So okay, I started a little late. We're like 30 minutes in. I want to keep this to an hour, probably a bi-weekly hour. Here's my question for you. What subjects do you want to know more about at this point? Keeping in mind we are still high level. We're not doing tons of, like, we've pretty much put all the teasers I want to put in the teaser channel for a good while. I don't want to give too much away. Keeping in mind, we're still on kind of like the conceptual phase. But what do you want to know more about? What would you like us to talk about? So there's that, and what are some things, let's see, that perhaps if you just want to bring up things on your own, some things that you liked that we want to do more of in the second game, some things that you didn't like that we'd like to do less of in the second game, or what you want these dev streams to look like from your point of view. So we have Skyborn. What about Skyborn would you like to discuss? Storyteller VK says soldier customization. Okay. So like the new classes or what? Grim Laforbe, what are your current struggles and uncertainties, if any? Oh, there's always, we're running a business here. You know, Mithrin and I this isn't a job or anything, but we're just running a business. So there's always going to be tons of both, especially in this early stage. I'm juggling a lot of different contractees. That's kind of my big challenge right now. Voice actors, artists, musicians, narrative design, animators. It's kind of, it can be nerve-wracking at times. So that would be the big thing. What kind of aesthetic changes to the art style and world are you aiming for? So I am of the opinion that the character of a successful game shouldn't be changed that much. You should put some dressing on it. But this might get some disagreement in other circles, but you should. I really think you should just try and keep maintain the soul of a game. For example, we're going from around 500p to 720p, so we're drastically increasing the screen space, and then we're going to increase the size of the tiles and the tactical map sprites as that you move around. But the battles actually stay the same size; they're just going to be framed in a different way. So what we're doing is we're trying to maintain the soul of what people know in the first game, but just enhance it, without messing with the secret sauce. One difference is that the larger tiles is a big, huge difference. But other than that, it's just gonna look like the same but better. So, I guess better enough, different enough to justify that it's a sequel. But without, you'll instantly recognize that it's Symphony of War, right? We're still going for deliberately very blocky biomes. Like there's some organic like tree lines and mountain lines and stuff like that. And you can see some of the pictures of our maps in the teaser channel. But for the most part, a 48 by 48 pixel tile, you can immediately tell exactly what terrain it is at a glance. You know that this is a forest, this is a hill, this is a plains, this is a river, this is a bridge, this is a town, right? It should take you like 0.0002 seconds to recognize what kind of tile this is. So I don't like the fuzzy, mushy map design, and I like it to be well lit. There's some games that have absolutely beautiful pixel art, but they use lighting techniques that kind of makes it, this is a video game, not a work. It's not a painting. Some games get away with the painterly stuff, but if we're strategy games, we're like very nerdy gamers, and we want things to be clear and digestible at a glance, and myself included, Mithrin included. So that's kind of how we approach that. I hope that answered that question. What kind of aesthetic? Campaign length in comparison. Good question, Lambert. I would say it's about the same. There's more chapters. If you're just talking the main campaign, it's about the same length. There's more chapters, but the early chapters are smaller because we're extending the amount of like tutorial type content. Of course, like I said, it's not tutorials where press blah 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 to do blah blah blah, and then it's like events that happen in the game world that teach you things one challenge at a time. So, for example, when we teach the naval combat, I mean, that's a completely new thing. So it's a mission that is just a small plot of water and your one ship and two enemy ships, and that's all it is, right? So, and that's like 11 chapters into the campaign, where you've got a big enough army to do a lot more than that, but we're literally just teaching just that one thing. So there's more chapters. But I'd say in terms of like time investment, it's probably around the same, maybe a tiny bit more, but there's actually more side content in the campaign this time around. Plus, we're planning on doing things like expedition quests, passive things that your squads that don't participate in the chapter can go do while you're doing the chapter. Side quests that are like minor stuff, like, go fucking kill the rats in the cellar, stuff like that. So, blah 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 blah. I think we're a little bit more lenient on what we consider grind content, because it's a single player game. Who really gives a shit if it's like balanced grinding? What we care about is is it fun, and is the thing we put in going to ruin your fun? And so if we put something in like the tower from Fire Emblem 8, that will ruin your fun. I think. Fight Me IRL. I strongly believe that would ruin your fun. So we wouldn't have something like that, but like some way of like chilling out between the story chapters, I think is a good thing. So, how connected to the plot is the first how connected is the plot to the first game, says Doom Cookie. Great question. It's actually directly a consequence of the of the first game. It's 120 years in the future, so maybe everyone has died of old age by now. We don't know. I won't tell you yet, but most certainly have, as you can imagine, if they're just normal people, right? And so we have a new cast. We have a completely new set of circumstances, but it is born from the events of the first game. But the story is not told based on previously. It's fresh, completely new story. If you can just play the first, you can play the second game by itself, and you have no problems understanding, right? So, Carl Max 18123, the different levels of customization, how we can customize soldiers, squads, the whole army. Woo, that's a big one. Let's come back to that. Good question. Yeah, that's a really big one. Start Game Social. I'm very interested in character progression. I would love to know if stat allocation is going to be a thing. Stat allocation, are you talking about you level up and then you have certain points that you can put in? Or can you expand on that? That certainly would not be a thing. That's too much micro for a large army. It needs to be something army-based. We're still kind of thinking about how to fudge the stats, as we call it, because I think we kind of agree that consumables they have their own hangups. And so we're trying to think of what else to do. I think we still want you to be able to fudge your stats. And we don't necessarily want to punish playing tall, but when it's one of the hangups with consumables is just piling all of your consumables on one squad or one character. Which honestly, it's not a big deal in my opinion, because our game just is designed to punish using one squad. You even if it's an absolute god squad on harder chapters, it'll just get overwhelmed no matter what, right? So, okay, I see Mithrin is answering some questions. It will very limited static and stat gains. Yeah. John Luckhall says, where are they Skyborn from? What's their history like? Are they integrated with other populations? Do they have enclaves? Do they keep to their own and not mess with the outside world much? Do they have their own mythologies, language, and major storytelling traditions? All right. John McCall wants to know about the Skyborn. The Skyborn are a creation of the game called Skyborn, also developed by myself and Mithrin and one other author, Brittany, who is not working with us anymore because she's working at Amazon Game Studios. Anyway, the Skyborn are one of the 4 sapient species of Tanra, and they have an ancient past where if you play the game Skyborn, there was an ancient war between them and another race that aren't around anymore called the Earthen Fae, and they were basically the first creations, of the divine, right? And because of this, the Skyborn had their inherent magic taken away, which basically defines their entire culture. They've had to endure millennia of not of being kind of like almost like Lucifer, kind of like the formerly promising children of God that have been struck down for their sins, and they've had their gift taken away from them, and so various times they have done things to try and regain magic, but this has resulted in calamity very, very often. So because of this, the Skyborn are very warlike and xenophobic, and I don't want to use this. The term racist is just kind of whatever. It means so many things or so few things. I would say they're more like ethnic supremacists, if that's in terms of Skyborn, better than everybody. And they're a little bit like Klingons in regards to being a martial culture. They look down on weakness. They respect victory and strength. And they respect enemies that are strong. Like in that regards, they're fair, so they tend to value dying in combat. It's the kind of the typical martial warlike race type stuff. But then at the same time, they're a little bit like Sparta. They kind of have this self-grooming sort of thing. They like to be beautiful. Even the males, they like to be, like hair is like really well groomed and silky, and they have to like really decorative tattoos on their face. Their clothes and their armor is ornate and shiny and shapely. They like to show off, their athleticism, and so they're kind of an interesting race, right? So, I would say they're kind of like Sparta with wings plus Klingons plus like high elves from like in terms of being a little haughty and superior, right? So they make natural rivals to the humans of Tanra because of these, but their relative position in the world is their footprint in the world is a lot smaller. The humans tend to be more hegemonic and more pervasive in Tanra. Skyborn are, for the most part, secluded to one section of just like their section of the world. But on balance, one for one, because they can fly, that alone, plus the fact that they are basically humans physiologically that can fly, makes them quite formidable on balance. So that's the thing. Good question. Hopefully that answers that. Blaze 1711. Are any new building types or terrain types in the map? Terrain types are, for the most part, the same. We have larger fields of hills, and so high ground is going to be a little bit different in regards to like hill to hill. Like if it's hill to hill or hill to wall, it's the same. It's not like high ground to high ground. So those be like larger fields of high ground, and then but for the most part, the organic geography is basically the same as the first game. It just kind of looks cooler. Building types, that's a huge up in the air thing right now, but yeah, we want to have more map objectives, a more dense map, so that almost every turn you have something to go, land on or click on or liberate or whatever. So that's all I can say about that. Storyteller VK, I would like to know if soldier customization is expanded from the first game. As we were capable of giving them traits and names before, I wonder if there are also factors that we were able to do, like minor customization to the looks and such. Aesthetics is cool and something I think would be a really fun thing. That it's kind of a high-hanging fruit sort of thing. In terms of naming and customization, yeah, I think you're going to be probably doing a little bit more than in the first game. Because traits, we've basically already settled on this, that traits are going to be equipable instead of consumable. So in the first game, you had a book, you consumed it, and then you had a trait that was just on that person forever. Whereas in this one, they're going to be equipment. Like you just take it out and you take it off, and you have equipment slots depending on how many trait slots you would have in the first game. So I think makes it a little bit better because you don't have like elixir syndrome, like, oh, I got to hold on to this trait bucket because it might come in handy later. So there's that. Still, though, the meat of the customization is squad level, because there's army level. There's things like the army, like your army level, like your faction level, and then there's the army tech tree, and then for unit level, that's still traits, classes, and then possibly other things like stat fudging, and then we've thrown other things out like affinity, personality, blah 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 blah. Can't speak to those yet, but the majority of the Symphony of War design in terms of customization is squad level. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot more fudging than you would be able to do in the first game. And that's the fun part, right? Like you're going to have tiles that tiles that do stuff, not just units that do stuff, right? So that's pretty cool. Lots more classes, of course, that unlocks more possibilities for squad building. Ways to have more than 9 units in a squad. Holy moly, what does that mean? More on that later. So yeah, definitely I would say army and unit level, I would say around the same. Squad level more. But you already know how to do the squad level stuff. So it'll be familiar to you and just as fun and more stuff that you can do, right? Okay. I like non-human cultures and stories, especially there's 4 sapient species. There's the Skyborn humans, Demirians, and Sonarans. The Sonarans are the cat people like Rescuja, and the Demirians are halfling types. Highly unlikely to have straight manual allocation. Yeah, it's too much micro. MD Yomi says, sup, Dance Dragon Boss Dev. Sup. Will there be... Carl Max says, will there be any classes exclusive to the player faction, not counting unique characters? Probably not. I think we want to keep exclusive classes to a really, really bare minimum, and that would be enemy only. Yeah, because I think that one of the key, I think, design tenets is that classes are universal, and that because you're doing class versus class, and so it's kind of like the chess game rather than like PvE where it's like one badass versus a mob of demons or something. So let's see, Blaze 1711, will there be more unit traits and leadership traits? Did he answer this? Not yet. Unit traits, like I said, it's equipable, and I think there'll be more. I think we want to have there to be more traits of both unit and squad level, but then have them not be so different in terms of perceived value and power. So therefore, there's not like these best in slots things that you had in Symphony of War. There's always going to be difference in power, perception, and things in RPGs like this. But yeah, I think so. Anthony Sausages. That was my biggest critique of Unicorn Overlord. Once you built a squad enough and solved the game, there was really no more strategy or challenge. Wide is much more interesting than tall. I would agree with that. Yeah, I think tall can be interesting. Like, that's JRPG basically, is tall. And, that is, I think... If we were to just like outright punish tall and discourage it, I think that would be kind of lame, just to put too many guardrails up for things that you want to do. Like what if you really want to do that JRPG thing where you have one absolute badass squad and then like 8 supporting squads? That's fine. Like you should be able to do that. But still, like as in the first game, like unless you're on super easy mode, like you can't really beat it without at least like 5 or 6 squad. I'm sure somebody's beat it with 1 squad. People are crazy. But that was my idea. To further on grinding, we don't want you to go off and feel that you need to increase your total. Yeah, it's the if you can, you must fallacy. We don't want to do that, and that's the Fire Emblem 8 Tower. That is absolutely if you can, you must, right? And even though the game doesn't say you must, you feel like you must, and like if you feel like you must, you're the gamer, you're the player, right? So the devs set up the rule set, and then you perceive that rule set, and then you're having fun or not having fun based on those rule sets. So it's really on the devs to create guardrails or not guardrails, so that you can't ruin your own experience, right? So Also, to be clear, I am playing this game regardless. Glad, yeah. Start Game Social. Thank you again for your support. Hope you stick around. The systems that discourage unchecked upward growth. We'll see. There'll be some new. It's nice to have someone on camera and someone in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Will we get to rename squads? Yeah, I think that's gonna be an important quality of life change. I think it would be really useful to have that rather than naming it based on the leader, and then you can rename the leader, which you can do in the first game. But like you'd have the name of the leader, but then I want to name it like Archery 1, Archery 2, Artillery 1. You know, that's kind of just how my brain works these games. So yeah, I'd like to be able to rename squads for sure. Mithrin says maybe, haha. Well, let's do it. Let's see. Honestly, I love playing wide. I want a battlefield to feel like, yeah, that's wide is one of the secret sauce things of this game, right? Dozens of squads for each other has always been a personal fascination. Yep. Battles to feel on scale, absolutely. With you there. How will permadeath be different? You know what? I want permadeath to be actually like, because okay, here. In permadeath in Civil War 1, kind of lame, I gotta say. Because unless there's no temple on the map, then it's fine. Because if you lose characters, then you feel compelled to stop the normal game flow of like, okay, I'm advancing, I'm taking territory, I'm taking out enemy units, I'm taking objectives. Oh, oops, screech, record scratch. Now I have to go back and drag a bunch of corpses to a temple. That's not fun. You know, doing a bunch of turns where things aren't happening isn't fun. So, in my opinion, don't quote me on this, and Mithrin, you don't have to like agree with me on this one, but I think permadeath should just be permadeath. You're dead, right? Unless there's a character that has divine intervention that can prevent you from dying, right? So just erased from the game forever. You know, the moment your hit point hits 0. So, but that's just me. We'll talk about how that could be, because we don't even know how it's gonna be handled yet. So, Tolo says true. It feels better to have various squads during their specific job. Gives the redundantly proper strategy feeling to Unicorn. It was the case only up until Elfheim. Otherwise, I just threw units around. Yeah, and they're nominated for. They were nominated for Game Awards. Huh. How can we do that for this game, right? Thoughts on letting permadeath units be recycled as skeletons? We talked about doing that for Civil War 1. I don't know. Mechanically speaking, it's hard to make that work in our undead system. I think our undead system actually miraculously worked really well right off the bat. I do want to have, like, if you do have permadeath characters, like a section called The Fallen, right? With like military funeral music playing, and just show like the name, you know, their record, and thank you for your service, right? Because, you know, I think we want players to be okay with deaths, because there's so many ways to get new characters, right? We want it to feel like it's just part of the process. It's as natural as losing HP in a JRPG character. And I'm going to wrap up here in like 5 minutes as we approach an hour. Thoughts on Tall happens automatically through which is why a lot of Courage Wide, huge thing we love about the game. Is that you're piloting an army where all your characters matter, and to some degree the hero party. Yeah, of course. Any undead story characters? Well, that's kind of a spoiler, isn't it? Alternate Vax. Be funny to see the squad names ranging from Donar's own Grenadier Guards to Barney's left eyebrow twitch. Well, you do you, man. Tobo says, also, Def expected a better story from Unicorn Overlord. It wasn't bad, but compared to 13 Sentinels. What is 13 Sentinels? I think I'm interested in playing games that actually have stories, where players who like stories perceive them to be good. Because like this whole thing about like bad writing, bad stories, bad dialogue, bad this, bad that, people just shit on everything these days. And I want to see like what people actually like, you know? So, let's see. You know, because like I grew up playing Final Fantasy Tactics, and I thought that was a really good story. And actually, I wasn't really following a lot of the events that was happening. To me, it was more about the perception of what was happening, just the atmosphere and like getting immersed in the music and the demons and all that stuff. But I'm not really like that kind of gamer. But then nowadays, of course, it's just so annoying about YouTube. Is you know, you go on YouTube and then like you know, somebody plays Final Fantasy Tactics for the first time, you know, because what was it out in like 2003 or 2002 or something like that, early 2000s or maybe even late 90s. When was that game out? But 98, yeah. So and then finally somebody plays it in 2022, and then like now that's the real story of Final Fantasy Tactics. It's like, motherfucker, yeah, we already knew that 20 years ago. And then it's either like, this is a really good game, but then some of them are like, this is way overrated. This story sucks. It's like, God, you know. And so it's not even like young. I'm not even shitting on young people. This is like people in my millennial generation that like will put videos up like that. And it's like, I don't know. What do you people want? Like, I thought it was a really fun, immersive story. I loved the characters. They were cool looking, and they had style, and they had diversity and variety. And I guess I'm just a lowbrow cretin, and I'm not as cool as these clickbaity YouTubers, right? So, anyway. But yeah, you know, what is 13 Sentinels cool stuff? You know, what else is a really cool story with really cool dialogue that I can try and consume? Anyway, by the way, I am of half Italian heritage, and so you'll often hear me going off on big whiny tangents like that. So apologies. Let's see. The option to play with or without. Oh yeah, storytelling. Yeah, definitely play with or without for sure. Hold on. And either the tiniest font or spilling out the UI. There is also the hard mode of XCOM, where you cannot afford to lose missions or units, which makes you lose half the fun of the game, which is managing and regretting losses and recovering from missions. Yeah, that can be fun for some folks. I think it's probably not fun for most folks. So certainly not a default difficulty thing, right? To kind of have that level of stress. Cleve Wizard says Vanillaware's previous game very, very story heavy. Was it story heavy and good, or was it just story heavy? Right? Scoffs and Save Scumming. Yeah, 30 Cells, another game of Vanilla, same developers. Unicorn. The story and overall narrative was nuts. Nuts in a good way or bad way? Cleve Wizard, FFT is like the gold standard for good story in that kind of game. Honestly, we'll look into it now. People who hate on FFT have to be contrarians because all the rate super high as fans of dudes on squares. Yeah, fans of dudes on squares. I love it. 13 Cell Story is very good. All right, yeah, 13 Sentinels. Let's look at. I'm gonna Google it right now. Is it another PlayStation exclusive? Yes, it is. Dang it! I don't have a Switch. I should get one. I really should get one. I want to get one at least for my daughter because she really likes family games like Mario Party. Alrighty. So let's meet again in 2 weeks. I appreciate if you're here, if you could, I'm gonna post the link again to the Twitch ping for React Rolls. 3 people have done so since this stream started, so that's cool. Please click on Barnabas's face. I should see that 80 going up to 81 here. Come on, somebody, do it. Anyway, so give us a follow on Twitch. Stay in our Discord. give the Twitch ping roll. There we go. Somebody just did it. Give that, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Again, high level stuff, game design, and then think of things that you would like us to talk about while we're all here together. Next time Sunday rolls around, which would be December 8th, the day after the Day of Infamy. Okie dokie. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your evening and a wonderful Thanksgiving week. And we will see you in Discord, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.